Hey, before we get started, I want to let you know about Buzzsprout podcast hosting. Right now, you can get a free $20 Amazon gift card when you sign up for any of their paid plans. It's what I use to host this podcast, but it's also what I recommend because they're extremely easy to use. They have really fair pricing. They price per hour instead of megabytes. It's free to start, so you get up to 90 days for free if you want. Customer support is really quick and awesome. You get a nice website player that you can embed. You get a nice website as well. They are constantly coming out with new features. They just added in an affiliate marketplace. They are about to update their stats, and they've done a ton of stuff just in the last year. So I highly recommend them, and you can go to buzzsproutdeal.com to get that free $20 Amazon gift card when you sign up for one of their plans. So again, that's buzzsproutdeal.com. Hey, and thanks for listening to the Podcasting Simplified podcast. My name is Ross, and today we're going to talk about Kinsta, the WordPress hosting company that I use for podcast insights. And it kind of ties into one of the giveaways coming up pretty quick here is going to be a course about how to start a WordPress site for your podcast and really kind of put out something that people are going to want to visit and share. So we're just kind of leading into that over the next couple weeks, I guess. In this podcast episode, I'm going to take an in-depth look at kind of why I switched from DreamHost to WP Hosting Spot to Kinsta for podcast insights. And then we're going to go through some of their features and then also look at who Kinsta is a good fit for and when you should host your site with them, because it definitely isn't for everyone. And I didn't start out with them because it wasn't a good fit for me then, but it is now. So Podcast Insights gets tens of thousands of people every day, and I need a website host that can handle all those people, that's fast and is easy to manage and can scale. So if I get a bunch of people share something or get mentioned on a big news site, the servers can handle all those people at the same time, and that's really important because some of the older platforms I've used just couldn't handle it, and if I had all those people, the site would start to get slow, and that's just a bad experience for everyone, and people would just leave right away without staying on the site. So we don't want that. And I've been using Kinsta it's been over a year. I think it's been about 2 years now, and they continually come out with updates and improvements, and I think they're awesome. But let's get started. So, like I said, speed matters, and really, no matter how popular your site is, you want a website that loads quickly. And there's tons of different studies out there that have shown that for every second that a website takes to load, that means that more people leave, or like for Amazon or Walmart, that means less sales. So speed is something that really affects kind of your whole business if you run an online business, and podcast definitely ties into that. So I used to host this site or Podcast Insights on DreamHost. I actually started out with a shared server, one of their cheapest ones. And then I found that was not really working out. And I ended up moving to a virtual private server, a VPS, which is a little better because they isolate your website's resources in like a separate container so that you're not sharing resources with other people on that same server. So that is actually a great way to kind of get a lot better performance for not a huge increase in cost. But even still, DreamHost wasn't the quickest. And I did a ton of research and came across an article from Brian Jackson, who actually was the he was the chief marketing officer at Kinsta for a while. He just left. But he recommended WP Hosting Spot. And so I tried them out, but their management features weren't very good. You had to email their support team to configure things, and it just wasn't something that worked for me. I wanted to be able to go in there and change it right away and not have to wait for someone. So I was only on their platform for maybe, I don't know, 6 months or so. And before I switched to Kinsta. So the pricing for Kinsta starts at $30 a month. So that's one reason it might not be a good fit for you. If that sounds like a lot, it might be worthwhile to go with something like DreamHost or Bluehost to get started with, because they have plans that are under $5 a month, and they really are a great way to get started. I mean, it's better to get something up instead of waiting until you can afford the $30 a month plan. So you can always switch, but that can also be a little bit of a pain. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Kinsta has built their own website management dashboard. Other companies use something called cPanel, which is kind of dated and doesn't allow you to, easily see all your info. So the Kinsta dashboard is designed really nicely. You can easily see all your stats, sites. They'll show you your invoices, you name it. Everything is all in one place. They have nice little graphs, and you can see CDN usage, which is a content delivery network that they include with their plans. One of the first screens is the site screen, so you can have multiple sites depending on which plan you're on. That's kind of how they limit you. Is on the $30 a month plan, you might only get one site, but on the higher plans, you get five websites or 10 websites. On the site screen, you can easily see your core server location, which you can customize for each individual site, which is nice. So I actually base Podcast Insights in Iowa, which is in the middle of the United States, because the majority of my visitors come from the U.S. So I just want to be right in the middle and kind of be in an equidistant place, I guess it is. Anyway, you can also see bandwidth usage per site, disk usage, visits, stuff like that, what PHP version you're on. So some of this stuff might sound like another language. That's okay. Don't worry about it. But we'll go on to the next screen, the backups screen. So they automatically create backups every day. Let me see. On the minimum plan, they store them for up to 14 days. And then as you get up to higher business and enterprise level plans, they store backups for 20 days and then 30 days. And I know daily backups might not sound exciting, but they're definitely crucial when you need them. If you mess something up, or if you get hacked maybe, or I don't know, you just need to roll something back, you can always do that with a click of a button, which is really cool. And then they also have a really easy way to send your backups, or send any backup, to a staging environment where you can kind of test and create your website without it being live to the world. And so you can have backups for both the staging and live environments, which is really nice. Let's see, they have, we're going to move on to another little section, the My Kinsta tools. So they have easy, bunch of little tools like clearing your site cache, setting up an SSL, that the HTTPS little lock icon, and then things like for SEO or just user experience purposes, it's important to redirect people from the non-HTTPS versions to the HTTPS versions. So there's a tool that will do that for you. You don't have to worry about kind of figuring out all the code and how to do that. It's just a click of a button, and they'll enable that for your website. So some of this stuff just makes it easy. And if you don't understand everything I'm saying, that's okay. They also have amazing support. So they have a chat system, and you just, send them a message and they'll take care of it. And they answer within, I don't know, every time I've tried to contact them, they respond in less than a minute, and usually have my issue solved in, less than 5 or 10 minutes. So it's really, really impressive what they can do. And all their support people are like actually knowledgeable in WordPress. It's not just generic support. So that's really cool. Some of them actually contribute to the platform, and just definitely another tier of support that you would not get with other platforms. Let's see, Kinsta DNS. So DNS is how you point your domain name to your website's server, and then how you set up maybe email and some other things. So Kinsta DNS uses Amazon's Route 53, which is a really fast kind of premium DNS service. The one thing is that they don't automatically add the records when you create a new site, so you have to kind of manually add those. I mean, it's just 4 lines of text that you have to basically copy and paste, but I think that would be something that would be nice if they could kind of automate that process. But they do automatically add MX records, which are the email records for G Suite, which is Google's business email system. I think it runs $5 or $6 a month. Next section in the Kinsta dashboard is analytics, and they give you a ton of info here, so you can view all your sites combined for the past 7 days, 30 days, or 24 hours, or you can view individual sites for those same time periods. And so they have a resources section, CDN usage, performance, response, cache, location, and IP. So you can view all this stuff in different tabs and kind of see it over time. So it's nice to be able to go into the performance tab and see how fast your site's responding, maybe whether there's weird spikes or issues, and you can kind of dive in and look at kind of where those errors are coming from. You can reach out to support if you don't know what some of this means and get some help on those issues. So it's nice. They show response codes. So 200 means that your website loaded properly. But then there's other response codes like 400. You may have heard of 404 errors. They'll show those. 300 is redirects. So when I use, let's say, affiliate links, they are 307 redirects, and those kind of just all get reported in this analytics package and page. And then there's a cache screen, shows you how often your website was visited on the cache or not. And so without getting too technical, caching basically saves a snapshot of your website and allows that to be viewed by your visitors instead of having to query a database and compile your entire website in the back end every time they load. So caching is critical to speed, and Kinsta includes a kind of a built-in caching plugin and a whole system that is automatically configured. You don't have to touch it. You don't need to get any of those WordPress plugins to mess with it. That's what's really, really impressive with the system is they just give you everything you need. You don't need to mess with a lot of stuff. Now, I know I mentioned speed, so they use the latest versions of PHP, which is the code engine that kind of runs behind the scenes for WordPress. And they also come out with the latest versions and release them to you as soon as they've tested them and made sure they're stable and working. So that's really cool. When I was with DreamHost, it would take a year or more for them to come out with the latest PHP versions, whereas Kinsta came out with PHP 7.4, I don't know, within a month of it being released. So really quick. And, it's not easy because they have thousands of sites and they need to make sure that, their release is stable and safe for everyone before they release those. It's on the Google Cloud Platform's premium network, which is Google's kind of highest tier. And they have special, lanes that make it just a lot faster than their ordinary cloud network. Let's see. The CDN is powered by KeyCDN. There's free bandwidth included, so you don't have to buy or try to configure a CDN separately. And that's something that will serve static files like images at a location closest to your visitors. So if I'm in Australia, then those visitors will be served those files from a server near them instead of from my main server in Iowa. I hope that made sense. Anyway, let's see. There's a thing that covers the speed things. They use HTTP 2, which is the latest kind of protocol. Yeah, they're they're constantly updating things. They recently did a database cleanup service they added to all their plans, and it's automatic. It runs in the background, and just one of those little things that they do to help speed up sites. They don't limit these features by price. So like I kind of mentioned, the pricing mostly comes down to how many visitors you get and how many websites you need. So on the base $30 a month plan, you get one WordPress site for up to 20,000 visitors per month. They also have some adjustable amounts for storage and then CDN transferring amounts, but you probably won't hit those, or you shouldn't. So I wouldn't even worry about that. Just worry about the monthly visitors and number of websites you need. Now, if you are worried about it, you can use a plugin like Short Pixel, which will compress images, and that'll save on both your SSD storage and your CDN bandwidth, because it's making your images smaller, not only to store them, but also to send them, across the internet to your visitors. So definitely look into something like that for images, at least as a one of the many ways you can kind of reduce your site's file sizes. And they have a little bit of overage. So if they charge $1 per 1,000 visitors and 10 cents per gigabyte for the CDN. If you go over, not a huge thing, and you can always upgrade your plan to the next tier at any time too. So if you find that you're consistently getting up to that number or about to, you can just upgrade your plan. But you might not want to, and you might want to just pay that overage to actually kind of be in an in-between amount. They also have other things you can pay for. So if you want more frequent backups, you can add those on every 6 hours or every hour for $50 or $100 a month per site. So quite a bit, but most people won't need that unless they're running kind of an enterprise system that's really critical. And there's some other things you can add. Additional disk space. It's $20 a month per 20 gigabytes. So if that's, if you're running something that really needs a lot of space, that's an option as well. And that's actually a new feature they added. So kind of nice to see that they're just making it flexible for anyone's needs. I talked about support, and yeah, I have a screenshot on a review I wrote that shows that it took less than 5 minutes to get everything done I needed to do. I really think Kinsta is a great fit. I'm sure they would love it if I said that they were a great fit for everyone, but that's obviously not quite the case. $30 a month can be quite a bit if you're just starting out in your business or podcast. I definitely understand. I was in that position where that just sounded like a ton of money, and there's no way I could afford that. But if you can, I would definitely go with them. So because of everything that's included, the backups, the caching, the CDN, the ability to customize your server location, and actually other platforms will charge you extra for that or not even have that ability at all. So that is just kind of a bonus. But all this stuff kind of combined in a way helps you save money, because you don't need to maybe pay for a caching plugin. You don't need to pay for a CDN separately. You don't need to pay for a backup plugin. There's a lot of things that kind of add up, and all those things can slow down your site actually if you don't know how to set them up properly. And it's just nice to have it all done properly and all kind of in one system. So that wraps up my review of Kinsta and why I switched from different companies over time. And if you need a website, you don't have one yet, I'm a big fan of them, clearly. But if they sound like maybe they're a little bit out of your price range, I am also a big fan of Bluehost because of their ease of use. Their system is really designed to make setting up a WordPress site really easy, and they run under, $5 a month. I have a deal where you can get, I believe it's $265 a month if you sign up for 3 years, but you can always sign up for a lesser time frame, 2 years or 1 year, and the pricing per month increases a little bit, but you pay less upfront. So another option there if you don't want to go with Kinsta. But thanks for listening, and be sure and subscribe so you can hear about this giveaway. We're going to do we have a couple cool companies that I've mentioned or maybe you've heard of that are all kind of getting together and are going to give away some prizes. So keep an eye out for that in a few weeks. I think March 3rd is when we're going to start that. Things can change, but that it definitely looks like it's what's going to happen. So I'm really excited for it, and I think it's going to be really cool. So definitely keep an eye and ear out for that. And again, thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.